Hi, welcome back to Chaotic Creative Season 4, the show about embracing the chaos that comes from living a creative life.
We are your hosts, two self-proclaimed chaotic creative gals. I am Lauren Hom, better known as Hom Sweet Hom on the internet. I am a designer, lettering artist, muralist, and chef.
And I'm Rachael Renee. I'm an artist, creativity coach, your internet hype gal, and most recently, author.
Woo!
Yay! And we're going to talk about those titles today.
We really are.
Yeah. How are we going to talk about
We're
I'm like, how do we?
I know. No, Rachel's the one who usually kicks us off into what we're talking
Do
about
I?
for the day. Yeah, I feel like you usually kind of like
I love a
ease us
segue.
in. Yeah, but the reason we're going to talk about those titles is because today we're talking about portfolios, but because I think in the last episode, you mentioned that you left your full-time job to pursue your creative work full-time.
My dreams.
That led us into another conversation about like your website and your portfolio, and leaving your full-time job like earlier than you thought you were going to has just brought up more questions about like, how do I present my work now? You've re-examined your body of work now that you've decided to pursue being an artist full-time.
Yeah, thank you for that. And last season we did like a co-coaching session where we coached each other. And one of the things that I was interested in was building a portfolio because I've never had one. I have created so many different types of projects and pieces of art, but I've never created what I think of as like a body of work. And I know that everything that I've created is my body of work, but I've never documented it in a like professional way. And you know, I used to have a product-based business, so I would photograph and do product listings, but I never
Need a store.
Yeah, but I never had it as like a portfolio with like commentary. And as I've been like really reevaluating like what does my creative career look like? There's one pillar that is like the creative coaching, the work of kind of sharing my philosophies on creativity and play and living a fulfilling, big, juicy life, as I like to say. But then there's also like my personal practice, which is what I think feeds into all of those philosophies. And I was realizing like I make a lot of one-off pieces. I've made quilts as gifts. I've made mug series. And a lot of the work that I've made is very functional because I was very focused on like functional items can be beautiful objects. I think that about clothes, about, you know, decorations in my home. Things can be functional and beautiful, and I strongly believe that. I know you do too.
Oh, yeah.
And also, I'm realizing that like I felt safe creating functional pieces because even if they were quote unquote bad art, they were still functional. I could still drink out of a mug that like looked shitty, but actually what I'm feeling like really drawn toward is creating like almost like an art show, like an experience with the pieces. Like I have these philosophies and experiences that I've lived in my life and thoughts that I want to explain with art. And these pieces are not functional. Like and I don't want to like talk too much about them, but like I want to make these weird things that are in my brain and then have people experience them. And I feel like that has been something that I'm afraid to step into. Like I want to be a professional artist that has a portfolio that someone knows as this person does these weird things about these philosophies on play. And like, this is how it's portrayed through her creative practice. So I'm just like really thinking about that. I have all these ideas I'm sick of myself talking about them because like with anyone who will listen, I'm like, oh, I want to make this, this, and this. And then like, I very much believe that people should do what they say they're going to do. I think
That's so Midwest of you.
Oh man. And it's like a neurodivergent thing too, where I talked about it last episode. Like I just take people very literally. So if like someone says like, I'm going to make these earrings and I'm like, okay, when? Instead of like hearing it as like, this would be a cool thing to do, but like committing. And so I'm holding myself to that standard of like, bitch, you're talking about it a lot. Now make the thing, put it into action. But it's a scary like next step to try to claim this title of artist, which I mean, you listeners have heard me progress through this for all of the seasons. Like I didn't introduce myself as an artist in seasons 1 and 2. I think maybe in mid season 2 or season 3 is when I was like, I'm an artist. And now I feel very comfortable saying that. But I've introduced myself that way a couple of times since I quit my job. And then people are like, what's your medium? And then I'm like, ceramics and quilting, which is true. But I'm like, I could not direct them to a portfolio to be like, here's my work.
You need something to back it up.
Yeah. And it's like, I have made those things. I do believe that those are my 2 of my mediums. But this is also why I'm building this community, or have built this community, hopefully by the time that episode comes out, where like I want to commit to these creative practices and not let the chaotic creative side of me pull me into like a one-off thing and distract me.
Shiny object syndrome.
Yeah. I'm like building a structure for myself to make sure that I like do the thing that I say and care about doing.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that totally makes sense. I think it's just like a natural part of like growing and evolving as an artist. Like you have done projects through like being part of the ceramic studio, right? And then making gifts, doing quilting, and I guess fiber arts is what we could call it.
I guess like mixed media, maybe. Just finding a coaster.
Great. Zine coaster.
Zine coaster. Yeah. So I think the mediums that I'm focusing on for this year-long community effort, which is it's the juice box, and it's a place for other people. Everyone, we're all prioritizing our play. So everyone is committing to a different version of play, but it's for 3-month increments. So like ceramics for 3 months, paper mache for 3 months, quilting for 3 months, and painting, because I'm always drawn to like abstract painting. And I feel very intimidated by that, but I really enjoy it once I actually start doing it and set it up. And so like creating maybe a space where I don't have to put my paint away and I can keep an easel out. Like those are my creative practices. And so I guess mixed media fiber is like ceramics, quilting, paper mache. I don't know. Multimedia.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll workshop that.
I'm sure it'll come to you as you make stuff and figure out what's going to make the final cut, like in your
That's true.
portfolio.
Yeah, because this is me like experimenting to see if I can commit to these things, and if I like creating like non-functional like art objects in these mediums. I might just like to make bowls for my kitchen. I mean, we got literally none of them inside of me right now. I'm like, they're everywhere. But like,
yeah, ironically, the only thing in the shot right now is something that I made.
Yeah.
That I gifted to you when I moved.
Yeah. This is one of my first pieces. There's a rose sgraffito in there.
Oh.
From my very first wheel throwing class.
Oh man, I made so many lumpy.
I mean, that was the first one that actually took shape. And I remember thinking, this is a huge mug. And it's so tiny.
Yeah, you really do lose a lot of
totally.
Heft.
Yeah. So yeah, that's okay. So I'm in this phase of exploring what me as a like quote unquote professional artist looks like. And by professional, I just mean me taking it seriously. I don't, the goal at this point in time is not to like get into a gallery and sell my work for millions of dollars. That would be sick, obviously. But it's more like I want to create a body of work that I could maybe like do a one-day art show at a space that my friend owns or something,
I think to synthesize everything that you just said.
Thank you. Yeah. Make it clear. I'm verbal processing.
Hey, it's all good. Again, the title of the show works beautifully with the way that we communicate.
Absolutely.
What I'm hearing is like you are ready to take your like all these creative ideas and this work seriously. And I think that creating a portfolio, a body of work, is a way to take the work seriously.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to, all of us start this way, right? This is even like predating Instagram. You work on a piece here and there. You're just kind of following your creative intuition, doing what feels good. You might document a piece here and there. Nowadays it might go up on Instagram, it might go in an Instagram story, it might end up in a like highlight reel somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But you just have these fragments of your creative life living all over the internet nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it is a big step in like the right direction when you say like, oh, I'm going to start taking myself seriously as a ceramicist or as a painter, as an illustrator, to start to curate it all in one place. So when someone does ask like, oh, like, what do you do? And you say like, I'm an illustrator, I'm an artist, I'm a painter. You do have somewhere to direct them that backs up what you're saying. Because that is like the language that our society speaks is, of course, if you paint, you are a painter.
Yeah.
But if you can't really show someone where to find your work, and you could pull up an image on your phone, of course.
Sure.
But if you have a website, even a simple website, just like your name, URL, and just like 10 of your paintings, it looks so much more serious. And it looks like you take yourself more seriously. People will take you more seriously. They can be photographed really simply. There can just be like your work and an about you, like a little bio, and then a way to contact you or buy your paintings. People like will take you seriously. Yeah. And you have to teach people how to treat you. People will only take you as seriously as you tell them to.
Yeah. I mean, it's why I've practiced introducing myself as an artist, and I have encouraged others to introduce yourself like based on what you enjoy doing, because if you take, even if you're not trying to step into this next phase like I am, you know, if you say I'm a cook or I'm a chef, like that's showing people like you care about that thing first. Even if it's not your job, or even if it's a part-time job, or it's a side hustle that you're wanting to grow. But like, I like how you've said that, like you teach people how to take you seriously
100%
by taking yourself seriously.
Yeah. One of the things that I tell like younger students or people who are just starting out in the industry with like design or illustration, a common mistake that people will make is they'll put in their like Instagram bio, or they'll put even on their website sometimes, I am a aspiring illustrator. And I always say like, just take that word out, aspiring. You don't need that. Just illustrator is enough. You already are drawing. There's clear examples of you drawing here.
Totally.
It's a small little like positioning thing.
Being more assertive. I do that a lot. I wrote an email this morning where I said, I think I'd like to go with this. And I went back and I took out the I think, because I said what I wanted. I don't need to say I think to soften it.
Yeah.
And I think especially as being a people pleaser or from the Midwest or a woman or all of the above, like I tend to like soften my language to not be as assertive. But like, again, we have to take ourselves seriously first before anyone else will take us seriously. So you know what you want. I think with like, I've always known that I wanted to be an artist with a studio practice. Like that's what I keep saying is like, I have creative practices. I do lots of different things. I make lots of different things, but I have never given myself a routine or dedicated structure to making. And so that's something that I'm finding, especially after quitting my corporate job, which was very much a routine. I'm building a lot of like what I keep calling scaffolding for myself, where it's like I have a baseline that I fall back to. And I've talked about this in past episodes with like my social obligations, where it's like I don't make plans on these days because it's easier for my brain to be like, these are the rules that we follow.
Your systems.
Yeah. These are the systems that I'm creating. So it's like the reason that I wanted to do this like 3 month, and why I waited until January to start. Because I was talking with a friend of mine who is like a life and business, like an entrepreneurial coach, helping people with storytelling on the internet. And we were just chatting, talking about our offerings, kind of just catching up. And I was explaining this community and like, oh, I want to commit to my own practice. So this is why I'm doing this. And having accountability to the internet is how I've grown my Instagram, and how I've continued to, you know, be able to show up for myself is holding myself accountable to this community I've built. And he was like, why don't you just start now? And this was in September. And I was like, well, because I need to make the structure. And I feel like that is something that I'm really recognizing about myself, is that I do need the structure. So it's like, okay, these 3 months are dedicated to this. I know that on, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I go to the studio, I do these things. Like I have to create that for myself. I love the flexibility of a creative lifestyle, but I actually do really well with routine. And the only way to take myself seriously by creating these things is to create a system.
Yeah, everyone works differently, and I think that it's good that you know yourself well enough, right? Because some people are like, when they have an idea for something, they're just like full steam ahead, like I got to do it right now, like cancel all plans this week. And there were times in my life where like I was more like that. But I think that most things can wait, right? It's non-urgent. And doing proper planning can make it a lot easier to actually execute, right? And implement once like you're ready to launch it, especially since it's like a community thing that you're committing to for the year. And also that's the reason why like being chaotic creatives, right? It's so easy to get shiny object syndrome where you're like, I want to do all these things. And like, even when you do, like when you're like, I want to make something right now, it can take a lot of like mental energy to start a new project every single fucking time, like that you want to make something. And so setting the container or the system, whatever you want to call it, of, okay, this is going to be my project for the year, the 3 months, the month, whatever container works for you. This is why I do passion projects, because it's so much easier to know what you're working on, or at least have some parameters when you sit down.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'm focusing on lettering these types of phrases this month. Or, hey, I'm going to the ceramic studio, like for these 8 weeks. And this is like going to be my creative outlet. And so giving yourself, like, for lack of a better term, like constraints is actually how you flourish creatively.
Yeah.
Because when you sit down to a blank piece of paper every single time, you have to do the mental like lift of coming up with a new concept, a new medium, like every single time.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. And I think like that, especially with a lot of my audience and community, I feel like people are doing this as hobbyists, but do want to take themselves more seriously. And so I'm literally in that process. And so much of what I love about Instagram is like I'm sharing things as I'm navigating them, and here too, and I think what I'm hearing is like people want accountability. It's hard when you're trying to just motivate yourself. It's hard when you have limited time. And it's things we've talked about on the podcast before, where we love a container, we love a passion project, we love creative accountability, creative buddies, like chaotic creative partnerships that help boost you. Yeah. And it's like, that's why I wanted to create this community, because it's all of those things. And having someone hype you and being able to talk about the success and like, have you ever had the experience where you're telling someone about an idea and they just don't get it? And it's like, they're excited for you, but you can tell that it just totally missed the mark. And then it almost like makes you lose excitement for that.
Yeah, we've talked about this before, I think, on the podcast, and I believe we'll be talking about this like later this season, but having people who speak the same language as you do is really important when it comes to pursuing any kind of creative goal.
Yeah.
Because it's like explaining to your parents like what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's, they love you. They're going to nod and they're going to smile. But yeah, there's only so much that's going to like permeate through.
Yeah. And like, but when you do get to talk to someone who gets it and who's also working towards something in a similar vein, whether it's the same like medium or not, it just like that energy compounds. And that's like why we created the podcast, because we're like, we gotta talk about these things.
Yeah, 1000%. And I think that it's a big step too to like take yourself seriously and say like, no, I want to make this thing. I want to do this thing. And especially because, throughout the seasons of this podcast, we've talked so much, like obviously me coming from I've been doing this professionally for going on like 12, 13 plus years, like coming from like an art school background. We often have the opposite problem where it's
right. I was going to ask, like, how is this conversation like resonating with you as someone who has always had a portfolio?
Yeah. I made my first portfolio when I was 15. Like I remember those like shitty GoDaddy ads like that were on during the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like I bought my first URL there. Sorry. And it wasn't even, I hadn't even decided I wanted to do design or art as a career yet, but it was almost like an intuition. I was like, I need a place that's just for my creative work. And I put all of my like high school drawings up there. Unfortunately, I bought a URL that was my full government name. I've talked about this before. Probably don't do that.
Totally.
But, now I have my business name.
Yeah. I mean, I did that in college. I remember I think, like you said, it was an intuition, like you want to have a space to share what you're working on. And I remember making a website in college that had one part of like the projects I worked on in my water resources engineering background. And then I had another one that it was like a tab that was like my art. And it was like projects that I made. And, it was really interesting because so much of this is internal limiting beliefs, right? Like me taking these next steps of like calling myself an artist, quitting my job, pursuing this professionally, like taking myself seriously. So much of it is just like, I'm my own, like I'm what's stopping me, And my mom texted me on my birthday, this past year.
Yep.
It's going to be in January when this comes out. And she sent me this plaque that it was an award that I won from the visual and performing arts department at my college. I went to engineering college. My major is civil engineering. My master's is civil engineering. I took art classes throughout. Like those were my electives. I did ceramics, I did painting, I did drawing, and the art teachers loved me and like gave me scholarships and stuff. And I was like, oh my God, thank you for sending this. And she's like, you've always been an artist. Like, just a reminder. And I think I really needed to hear that on that particular day of just like, oh my God, you're right. This episode is brought to you by us asking you to hire us to teach a workshop or do a speaking engagement.
You've heard us talk about this season teaching workshops together for brands and on our own, and we are actively looking to do more of that this year.
Yeah, so if you do programming for your corporate job or you work for an organization that does programming, we would love for you to reach out to us and get something scheduled. We're happy to travel. We really love doing this work together and are excited to hear your idea.
You can reach out to us at chaoticcreativespodcast@gmail.com.
Okay, now back to the show.
But it's funny because I have the opposite, like kind of like a makeup as you. Had I not gone into art as like a profession, I definitely would have gone into something STEM. Like I was like I loved spelling bees. I was like a mathlete. Like
love that about you.
I was great at chemistry. Like I have a nerd brain.
I mean, I truly think like some of the most creative and also entrepreneurial people, because there's a lot of creative people that don't necessarily make great entrepreneurs because they don't like to do like what we talked about in the last episode, like the admin and the organizational stuff. But I feel like people like us who have leanings toward the nerd side, we do make good entrepreneurs because we have enough
of both.
Yeah, that part of our brain sparks up too sometimes. Like I love a spreadsheet. You know that about me.
But yeah, to go back to what you were asking before, like coming from a professional, like only angle, oftentimes we have the opposite problem. And I think it's like we often think about everything needing to like be a portfolio piece. And so people like me have a harder time just like making a for fun project, or like if it's a one-off piece, is it a waste of my time? And the answer is obviously no.
Right.
And many of us learn this like the hard way, just like over time burning out and then like doing stuff for fun, which totally makes sense. But I wanted to comment on something that you said of like you being the one getting in your own way. It reminded me that coming from the opposite like angle, oftentimes it really is just difficult to change our own self-perception. It's just like a long and like hard learning process where if you think of yourself as one way for so long, like your whole life, especially when it's like tied to your profession, like you're like, I'm an engineer, or like someone is like, I'm a designer, like I do this one thing, and you try to change anything about like that identity, or like you're trying to add a new thing to that or shift it, it just takes a while to reacclimate to the new thing.
Yeah, but I also think I agree with you. And I think it's also a fun challenge that I hope we can pose to the listeners. Like, it doesn't actually take that long to stretch into a new facet of the identity. It's just like you have to commit to doing it.
Yeah, it's oftentimes you getting in your own way. That's the hardest part.
Yeah,
like it feels like such a big stretch.
Yeah.
But it's really you getting in your own way. That's the hardest part. Once you get into the habit of like taking steps in the direction that you want to go in, it feels hard because what happens is you have like these two sides of you, which you're like, I want to go in this direction. And then the old, like the safe old version of you is like pulls you one step back, and like you take two steps forward, one step back.
Yeah.
And it's just this kind of like painful, slow process that way. But once you start to like chill out a little bit and go like, no, this is safe to go in this direction, it isn't in practice that difficult. But it's a lot of stuff just up there.
Mental gymnastics for sure. I've been trying to visualize my like emotional capacity as silly putty because I've experienced a lot of like grief, and man, you know, end of 2025, just things were compounding for me.
Yeah.
Just like a lot of stuff on top of stuff on top of stuff. And it was like getting to me. And I just kept reminding myself, like, my brain is silly putty. And as the more that I'm stretching in this direction for the grief and the frustration and heartbreak and overwhelm, it's also stretching in the other direction, and my capacity for growth and my capacity to experience joy and love and the wondrous parts of the world is also expanding. And so it's like, I just kind of visualize myself as like a blob, an iridescent blob. And I'm like, I'm stretching in all directions. Some of them are really uncomfortable, but I'm grateful for them because it's helping me grow. And so in a way less weird way to say that, like, can you stretch yourself a little bit and be like, not you, but the people listening, like maybe you too. I mean, for a while you were like, most recently chef, and I'm like, you're a chef.
Yeah.
Get rid of that.
I think
aspiring.
there's always that acclimation period into like settling into a new title, the same way it's like settling into a new city, like for me, or settling into a new lifestyle, like you not having a full-time job for the first time. Like that's a huge lifestyle adjustment.
Totally.
Yeah.
Oh, I fucking love it though.
Totally. Like, and even if things are, even if it's what you wanted, like there are just going to be like, there's an acclimation period.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like having to realize like, okay, what are my preferred working hours? Like, when do I like to do emails? Getting to decide what my day looks like so that I'm maybe most fulfilled or productive or whatever I need to be that day. That's wonderful, but it also takes structure and stretching and on the friction of like, oh, I overcommitted because I don't have a job. And now I have people wanting to get coffee the whole day. And
you're in the driver's seat now. Yeah. Like truly in the driver's seat. And that's a huge amount of like responsibility that you have. But it's also fun because you get to like kind of design your own life. And I think the same thing goes with a portfolio, whether you're like starting or you're like very seasoned. A lot of times we forget that like we're also in the driver's seat of like whatever direction you want to take your work in, whether it is like functional crafts or you want it to be more conceptual art, or maybe you're like tired of doing one style of work and you want to pivot. You are capable of doing the pivot. Again, mental hurdles of like, you know, you'll get in your own way, but there's really nothing stopping you from making the work that you want to make. You just have to do it and then publish it. And whether that means publishing it on the same site and slowly like swapping projects out, like no one else is watching. It's just you.
Yeah.
Like most designers, even the most famous like creative people, no one's like keeping an eagle eye on their website being like, oh, they swapped out that project.
Yeah.
Like everyone's work evolves over time. Like I don't know if I've talked about this on this podcast yet, but this ring that I always wear, this gal, what's her name? Laurel Hill, I want to say. I bought this like over a decade ago. Used to be a jewelry designer, shut down her business, and now does like something else completely different. Doesn't make jewelry anymore.
Cool.
And I think that's so rad.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking about, I don't remember who I was talking to recently, but just thinking about the evolution, like I've tried a lot of stuff. I love that because like trying stuff is how we figure out how to live the most fulfilled version of our lives. Like, you know, I did bike camping for a while as a hobby.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I've rock climbed. I was on a intramural basketball team for a while. I you know, did the craft fair circuit. I did I was driving to somewhere to get party supplies for my soup gala party. And
as in actual supplies for the party, not a euphemism for drugs.
Oh no, literally just soup containers. No, I don't do drugs. Yeah, I'm like party supplies. It was a like restaurant-sized bag of croutons and cups for the soup.
I know.
Lauren was digging into the croutons. That was this morning. I came downstairs and I was like, "Are you snacking on croutons?" And she's like, "I wanted chips. I didn't want to wake you up. Croutons were it. Keep eating them because we got a lot left."
I will.
Anyway, so I was driving to get the croutons and the soup cups, and I drove past the salon, and I forgot that I used to do hand-lettered murals on their mirrors at the salon.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my gosh, like I was doing freelance like lettering design stuff for these places. I taught hand lettering. Like I have just done so much stuff and it's all contributed and none of it was a waste. It's all contributed to me being like, okay, I'm, again, the braid analogy I always love to use. Like, I'm going to try this. I'm going to circle back to this main theme. Like, these are the things that I like about this life. Yeah. And it has built up to this point of me, like, feeling comfortable enough to claim this title of I want to be a working artist.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's almost like, you've, like, visited all these different places, like, in your creative journey. And there's nothing stopping you from like ever visiting those again. I've been thinking about this a lot with portfolios. Like there was maybe a 2 or 3 year chunk of my career where I was doing a lot of chalkboards. And this also like coming from a visual art perspective, trends come and go too.
Yeah.
Like as a creative like service provider, I'm not at the mercy of trends, but like they are a factor in what services are in demand. And so I was doing a lot of chalk lettering. I think I got a little bit like creatively tired of doing it and it was less in demand. And so it just kind of naturally phased out. It wasn't like I put down the chalk and like swore it off forever. But, 10 years later, I am now back in Brooklyn and I've been considering like, maybe I will pick it back up. And it's been interesting thinking about revisiting something that I did a long time ago, but it's actually been a nice reminder that like just because you stopped doing something doesn't mean you can't ever go back. Just like if you traveled somewhere, you can always go back.
Yeah, I like that analogy of like the places you visited, the stuff you've tried. You might go back to one place a while. You might stop and live in one city for a while. But you can always move on. Yeah. There's nothing stopping you from trying something new or and you can go back. Yeah. I like that analogy.
I think it helps too with the chaotic creative tendency to worry about like the decision-making process of like, am I making the right or wrong decision?
Yeah.
Like there is no right or wrong.
You're making a decision and you will, move on from that.
Make an informed decision and like bear the consequences. You'll be fine.
Yeah. We were talking about that this morning.
Yeah, we were.
And kind of like there are so many ways that we could like hem and haw waffle over a decision where it's like pros and cons. I'm going to do this. Oh, we were talking about me getting some work done on my house.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't know. And like my gut reaction is to just put it off. Like it doesn't actually feel as urgent as I thought it was. And I would rather spend money on different things at this point in my life. Yeah. And like, it's like trusting your gut, making an informed decision, understanding that like, if my basement floods again, then I'm dealing with the consequences. I'm calling them back and get over here.
Yep.
But I think that the fear of making the wrong choice stops us from making any choice.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Well, I'm gonna be working on my portfolio and probably asking for more questions.
Yeah, I hope that you do see some of those projects through.
Yeah, me too.
And that you do put, I mean, you're good at the like documenting part. I know that there will be like, I have no doubts that you'll be able to document and like put them on your site. Like, I hope that you do them. And if there's any way I can support you.
Thank you. I'm sure I'll continue to talk about it. I
think you do talk about them like on Instagram and like all the things you want to do. And I did want to make one more point that like a lot of times too, there's Instagram is like an interesting like intermediary between the portfolio and like your brain, because a lot of times people use Instagram as kind of like their like place to workshop ideas that like might make it to the portfolio. And one thing that I tell my like portfolio class students is when they're thinking about what they are going to add to their portfolio, if it's been like years since they updated it, I'm like, give your Instagram a pass. Like, what have you posted about? What have you talked about? Like, are there any like bits and pieces of projects you've talked about that like could be the basis for a more in-depth portfolio project?
Yeah.
Do you even have like pieces that you've posted that you forgot about from years ago that you could actually curate the images and write a description that could make it on your website? Because it's all about curation.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like also going back through journals and stuff, like there's been a lot of ideas that I've had as whatever you want to call them, like downloads from the magic of the universe. And it like sticks with me for a while. I write it down and then it's an idea and I don't make it. But like going back through journals or posts or newsletters or whatever to kind of re-spark those ideas. And oh shoot, I was going to say something else. About Instagram.
Yes.
Like that's something that I'm curious how I will navigate as I work through this kind of the juice box project, which is me committing to, it's so silly, such a silly name for something that I'm taking so seriously, which is my MO. But I like my Instagram is creative coaching. And so it really won't ever become like still images of my work, right? Like of the pieces, but I will talk about them and talk about my philosophies, but my Instagram probably will not become like the portfolio. It'll be on my website. But then I'm like, oh, well, I also have the Rachael Made This Instagram from when because I changed my name before I gave up my stationery business. So I'm should I just be like posting stills of my images over there? So it's interesting too, because like if someone's going to rachaelrenee.com, they're going to be seeing my coaching workshops, those things, and not my portfolio unless I direct them directly to that. So I'm kind of also thinking about how will this evolve? I'm open. I'm not making a decision.
I think you'll figure it out as you go. It's nice to know that you have those kind of like spaces available. It could all live as one. Like,
yeah, I mean, you have a portfolio on your page.
Oh yeah, because I came at it again from the opposite way, where my website was pure portfolio, and then I added a blog, and then I added courses, and then I added coaching. So it got built out the opposite way.
Right, right.
So if you look at my website, you could just do it the other way around.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's really just like building out a more in-depth navigation bar.
Yeah, and I think I even I hid my portfolio because I don't want people to look at it yet because it's not there. It's not what I want it to be yet. Because I need better photos and stuff. Like I did it last minute before I moved up north. I was like, I want to commit to this and apply to this residency.
I like that you got like a quick and dirty version up though. I actually think that that's like a great first push to like get things like get the inertia to dislodged.
Yeah. And I should actually use some of those images that
it's a good first pass.
Kristle edited for me.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're at time.
Thank you so much for listening. If you liked this episode, or if hopefully this sparked something in you to either get that project up on your portfolio, or maybe you're like, oh, I have been wanting to nudge my work in this direction or work on that project. We hope that this sparks some ideas for you. Please send it to a friend if you think that it could spark some ideas for them. Patreon.
Yeah.
I'm going to let Rachael do it because she's better at talking about it.
Oh, I'll talk about it. Yeah. Support us on Patreon if you have the capacity. Basically, the paid tiers help us create this podcast. We don't have sponsors. We create this ourselves. And we love this work, so we will continue to do it. But your support helps. And we release the ad-free audio versions of the episodes early to the paid Patreon tiers. And give us a rating and review if you don't have the capacity to support us financially. And then, like Lauren mentioned, we did talk about portfolios in the last season, so go check that episode out where we coach each other. Because you can hear Lauren giving me like more direct feedback on how to create a portfolio.
Yeah. I also have a free Adobe portfolio course available. I forgot that I did that, but it's out now.
Okay, we'll put it in the show notes.
By the time this season comes out. Yep. It's I think it's through Behance, but it's like a hour-long like portfolio course that I did with them.
I'll check that out.
Yeah. I also do it twice a year. I do like a paid portfolio cohort, but I don't know when that's launching. So guaranteed though, the Adobe one will be up. So
yeah, I like the portfolio procrastinator course because I think that's really smart to do it live or doing it together. You're not going to just buy this course and then never update your portfolio.
Again, you got to set the conditions for yourself.
Success.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.